We're talking push trucks, PA posse, really big right rear wheels, and racing on dirt. From Silver Dollar to Williams Grove, Eldora to Devil's Bowl, and of course, Knoxville. This is Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Now your hosts, Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Hello again. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire here on the Motor Racing Network. We are so glad you joined us talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week. Erin Evernham alongside, and we have got a fantastic program for you. T-Mac is back.
Yep.
And you never know where he's going to say. You never know where he's going to go. So put on your seatbelts. Terry McCarl interview coming up. Shane Golobic is going to join us. He won the National Sprint League race in Farmington, Missouri. We'll talk with him. And a guy that we just chatted with a couple of months ago and just had a great time, Patrick Sullivan from Sprint Car and Midget Magazine, going to join us as well. All of that and a whole lot more. Great fun. Alongside Erin Evernham, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I
am fantastic, although Casey Kane has me very sore.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I'm running in his 5K on Sunday, and I hit it a little too hard yesterday.
Well, you still have a few days to recover,
I know.
so that's
I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
So did you go to Pennsylvania in the rain, or did you?
No, I did not. I was at Dover in the rain,
yes.
Okay, where we ended up with the 600 miles of Dover on Sunday afternoon with Motor Racing Network. The game plan was to go up there, and then fortunately I'd been able to secure a seat on Smoke Air for Friday night. Exactly.
Fancy.
How about that? Fancy, except for Mother Nature didn't want Smoke Air or anything else to happen.
Yeah.
And what a bummer up in Pennsylvania.
Like 3 nights in a row. Whew.
You know, it's just it's one of those deals where, you know, Williams Grove does everything so big and everything right.
Yeah.
And they put all of this money on the line, all of this money into it. This is the second year in a row. They've expanded it to 3 days. They want this thing to be so big. And then it just, both years has just been rain, not little pesky showers.
Yeah.
I mean, just monsoons.
And it's just, you feel so bad for the fans. I mean, those motorhomes were lined up on what day was it? Tuesday?
Yeah, a week ago
up?
now they were lined up. Yeah, so they're all there. You know, you feel bad. The track. I mean, it's a big chance to generate revenue to get them into the off season and get them done.
The Beer Hill gang.
The Beer Hill gang. I mean, they still invested in all the beer, but they didn't get all of the.
Probably still drank it. I mean, during the rain out.
Oh, they still drank it. I from following along on social media, they did. And the one I feel the worst for is poor Donnie Kreitz.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's $70,000 he'd have had in his wallet because, well, no, we not going to give the win.
Oh, you talking smack.
Well, no, I mean, the way Lance Deweese has been.
I know what you're saying, but your Twitter's probably blown up.
No, exactly. I mean, but for the teams collectively, you know, they have a chance to run, you know, anytime you get a chance to run for 10 grand. I know the World of Outlaws do it all the time, but anytime everyone gets to run for 10 grand is good. They were going to do that Thursday night. They were going to come right back on Friday night into it, and then they were going to race for 50 grand on Saturday night. So the teams took a big hit with this and potential income. I joke about Kreitz and $70,000, but I mean, there's $70,000 in winning purse is now $25,000 in winning purse coming up in a couple of next week, next Friday night.
So that's what
they're going to do Friday night before Port. Port has the World of Outlaws. It's not this weekend, but next
14th,
weekend.
Right?
The 14th, yeah. Friday night, it's going to be a one-day show, $25,000 to win, which is a great show. I mean, it's fantastic. But it's not.
It's not the national.
Yeah,
Open,
exactly.
Like we know it.
Yeah, exactly. So, just there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, and you know they canceled. Ultimately, they canceled midday on Friday the whole weekend. You know, and of course, you know there's keyboard cowboys. They could have ran tonight. They could have ran tomorrow. No, you don't understand you know the reality of it is that Justin Lowe and everyone at Williams Grove wanted to race worse than all the rest of us. Okay,
exactly.
You know the bottom line of it is. So it's just one of those deals where it just wasn't going to work. Last year they had the same scenario. They went and did the one-day show on Sunday, paid the 50 grand to win, and lost their rear ends.
Yeah.
So how's that good for anybody?
No.
You know,
has to be good for everybody.
It has to be good for everybody, and unfortunately, pared down. It's still the National Open. It's still one of the big ones. It's still the Posse versus the Outlaws. It's still Williams Grove, and 25 grand is not much to sneeze at. I mean, so still really, really good, and we just hate it. Hey, a couple other notes before we get to the Classic Ink and screen printing results page. just announced within the last hour of, we record this if you're watching it live Tuesday at noon. I know most of you watch it throughout the week, but Tuesday morning just announced, and this is so cool, Texas Motor Speedway, they're having sprint car races during the NASCAR weekend in April next year.
I didn't even know that. I'm slow on my news.
Well, it just happened. You were probably driving to the studio. I just
Wow.
happened to get here. But it's Tony Stewart presents the Texas Sprint Car Nationals, Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, Friday and Saturday night of NASCAR weekend
Wow.
at Texas Motor Speedway.
That's cool.
Love it.
I've always felt bad that track sits there
Yep.
and isn't used like it should be.
Took the right situation, and we
Yeah.
know Eddie Gossage and Tony Stewart
Yep.
are buddies.
Yep.
And we know Tony Stewart and Emmett Hahn are buddies. So it's like, okay, why can't we all just get along and figure this out?
Yeah.
And I'm not committing that Tony's going to be racing in it, but the likelihood is I would say that the very
When he did say he's going to run 30 or 40 races
yeah, exactly.
next year.
That may fall into that category.
Yeah.
And then they said some other NASCAR drivers may be included as well. Stay tuned for details. Just really, really good for, and we've talked about this. We talked about it earlier year, what Emmett Hahn is doing with the Lucas Oil ASCS National
Yeah.
Tour. I mean, I know we're partial because our show presented by Sage Fruit is on MAV TV. But compare it. They've
Yeah.
got the best TV package in sprint car
Without
racing.
a doubt.
I mean, they've got the best TV package in sprint car racing. Their racing is great in that you've got a couple of really good veterans. You got a couple of really good kids. You got Sam Hafertepe Jr. in the
Yep.
middle of it, kind of messing everyone up.
Yeah, and they've got the regional series. They've got the national touring
Yeah.
series.
And then this is another race that's going to elevate them and put new fans into sprint car seats.
Yeah.
Is what that's going to do. And the good news for all of us is that they run good shows.
Yeah.
The new fans that go to the Tony Stewart Presents the Texas Sprint Car Nationals, they may go to a sprint car race after it because it'll be that good.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing that's so encouraging about it. So a tip of the cap to Eddie Gossage and everyone at Texas. Tip of the cap to Tony Stewart. But I'm always happy for guys like Emmett Hahn that are really slugging it out there, and
Yeah.
they get another marquee, another showcase event on their schedule.
And I think Tony deserves a shout out too. He's got his
Right.
own series, but yet he's still helping out other sprint car
Right.
series. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's true. I mean, he fields World of Outlaw teams with shots. He
Yeah.
owns the All-Stars, and yet here he is working with
He's
Emmett
not
on
like
something.
this
Exactly.
is I'm going to put all my money into my own deal.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
sharing the wealth.
And we understand it makes sense because it's Texas.
Yeah.
And we understand in April the World of Outlaws are in California, so we get all of that.
Maybe Tony just, thought maybe he'd already be at the NASCAR races as an owner. So,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
let's
See
put
that?
on a race.
Put on a race. I might as well. This way I won't have smoke air won't have to
Yeah.
fly. It'll be more like smoke
Smoke
golf carts. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
just going to say that.
So fantastic stuff. It really is. And finally, want to give just a shout out to our buddy Dominic Selzy. Okay, you want to talk about getting flogged? Okay, everyone loves Dominic Selzy, his dad Gary. Okay, but I am telling you what, the boy took a whooping this year.
Yeah.
It's all fine. It's all good. They made the right call. We got to go to the Midwest where we can race on big tracks and short tracks and a good variety. And he went over there and got absolutely whooped all summer long, trashed some cars. I mean, he didn't crash little. He was Gary Selzy type crashing, okay? Now, Gary could wreck a dragster, okay?
If you're going to do it.
Yeah, you go big. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? If you don't believe me, just go to YouTube and do Gary Selzy crashes, and you can see a really good, you'll see some of it. Dominic had the same sort of situation as far as a rough summer. I love what they're doing. They're getting him out. They're racing him. He wants to be a sprint car driver. He doesn't want to go down the drag racing route. He doesn't want to go NASCAR.
Yeah.
He wants to be a sprint car driver. And to do that, you got to race. Silver Dollar Speedway, 360 show Friday, 91.
That's cool.
I just think that's
cool.
really
Darn
cool.
it. I can't say cool. We're both saying
I know,
cool
I know.
again.
We're both saying cool again. Exactly. Here we go.
That is fantastic.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It is really, really good. It is groovy. Tip of the cap to Dominic, Gary, and everybody there. Just hopefully that'll spur the enthusiasm that maybe the floggings won't be as bad next year.
Yeah.
It's just
A little momentum at the end of the
brutal
year.
sport.
Yeah. A little confidence builder.
I mean,
again.
we watch, and our buddy Greg Wilson, we watch this. It's just like, my God, dude, how much of a beating are you willing to take? I understand it, and that's why we love our drivers.
Yeah. And as a driver, when you get beat mentally, I mean, it's hard to come
Yeah.
out of that. I remember on the road with the Outlaws, we went through a spell where I wrecked some cars. We had some motor trouble, and it was like, man, maybe we really don't belong out here. I mean, it probably didn't belong out there anyway, but I remember thinking, like, is it ever going to change? Are we ever going to get some momentum swing? And then suddenly we won Tulare, like out of nowhere. We were horrible. I remember having like talks with some drivers and owners like, should I keep doing this? What are we doing? And then all of a sudden it was like a flip of a switch, and then, certainly helped confidence quite a bit.
That's why you got to show up every week.
Yeah.
Because you never know when that switch is going to.
And like everyone says, you're only as good as your last race. Well, after that, I was like, whew.
Yeah.
I'm a lot better than I was last week.
So that is great stuff. Hey, let's take a look at our Classic Ink and Screen Printing results page. Of course, we mentioned Williams Grove was rained out. National Sprint League, they had a pair of them at St. Francis County Raceway. How about Joey Montgomery, locals?
Yeah.
Take it to the National Sprint League. Shane Golobic, we'll talk to him a little bit later on. Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour presented by MAV TV Motorsport Network. It was the fall brawl, and who better to win a brawl than T-Mac? He's a brawler right there. So Terry McCarl, IRA bumper-to-bumper sprints rained out. USCS was here in the Carolinas. Trey Stark swept Carolina Speedway and the track Yo Mama warned you about, Cherokee Speedway. So Trey Starks came over from Washington. Fremont raced on Saturday night. Brian Lay picked up the win, and our buddy Andy Forsberg picked up a 360 win out at Chico as well. But, boy, the racing getting down there now.
I know, our list is awfully short
now. Yeah, it's
now.
getting short. So, hey, Classic Ink, screen printing and embroidery. You can find out more information at ClassicInkUSA.com. That's www.ClassicInkUSA.com. Corporate, other sports, racing, school, special events. Find out why guys like Danny Lasowski, Brady Bacon, Donnie Schatz, and Brian Brown, they choose Classic Ink. You should too. ClassicInkUSA.com. We need to step away, and T-Mac, he joins us next.
Hey, this is Jason Sides, and you're listening to Steve and Kendra on Wing Nation here on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
O'Reilly. A rough running engine could be suffering from buildup of fuel and oil deposits. Smooth out a rough engine, restore power, and improve fuel economy with Seafoam Motor Treatment. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today and purchase 2 bottles of Seafoam Motor Treatment and get one free. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon, and now back to Wing Nation.
Thank you, Jeff. Welcome back. We are having an absolute blast, and so glad you joined us here. Let's go to the Hercules Tire Hotline. Joining us now from his home, I believe, out in Iowa, after a big win in Nebraska this past weekend at the Fall Brawl. Terry McCarl joins us. Hey, T-Mac, how are you?
Great, Steve and Erin. It's good to be on.
Well, great to chat with you. Congratulations on the win Saturday night. Tell us a little bit about your run at I-80.
Well, yeah, it's great getting win number 300. I don't know if that means I was a good driver or I'm just getting really old, but great car. I-80 has just turned into maybe my favorite track in the country, and I was saying that before we won a couple shows this year. The Kosiskis just do such a great job out there, and Ed kind of figured out how to make the track good for sprint cars. It seems like come feature time, there's always a top way up on the top and a bottom way down on the bottom, and just awesome slide jobs in between, and I can't say enough about their track prep out there, but it's just fun racing. Everybody's having a blast, and I mean, I think as a fan, you probably couldn't see more exciting racing, especially on a big track like that. So, we won the NFL show there this spring from 9th, and we got just got a good setup for that track. And Jamie Moyle built us a new engine. Don Long, Surgical Telephone Company, supplied me the brand new Jamie Moyle 360, and that thing just ran like crazy. And that was more the key, I guess, than driving, was having a great engine. I'll take all the credit if I can.
Terry, I read where you said that at one point you thought you maybe had lost the race because you didn't know where to run, and it caught my attention when I read that, because I always think of you at one of the best, finding the traction and finding the place to be. What makes I-80 Speedway or that race in particular? Why was it so difficult to know when you were leading if you were running the right line?
Well, we were so good all night, and kind of what threw me was the last show we were there was a show, and track was kind of similar, maybe a little more wet on the bottom, but, Erin, like one of those deals where the bottom hadn't came in yet, they hadn't even been ran on very much, and then, the top moves way up to the top, and then guys start running the bottom and you get real tight. I had to pull out of the Outlaw show there a couple months ago, and we were just so tight, and I was afraid of that again. So we didn't really tighten up like a bit loose for what I like. But again, it goes back to what I was saying originally, that, you know, Ed does such an amazing job. That track, I think you've ran there, it's real banked up on top, but the bottom is flat. So it's really two different tracks. Around the bottom is kind of a 3/8. And I think really it would take another gear and another setup. And then, but if you run up on the top, like say Jack Dover does, you know, it's a totally different racetrack. It's got banking, and you can build a lot of speed up there. So I felt real good, and then I started getting a little loose on the top, and Thomas Kennedy got by us in traffic, and opened my eyes. I needed to move back down in 3 and 4, but I still felt real good on the top in 1 and 2. And then they had a yellow with 5 to go, and my crew guys both told me to run around the bottom all the way around. So, and I didn't feel as good on the bottom 1 and 2. I needed to get up on that banking. You know how you start building some speed after a while, and I figured Jack might be coming, so he closed in on us pretty good there at the end. But again, it makes you know, shout out to Ed, because the track was so good. I didn't know where to go. My car was good, and I didn't know where to go, but you know, we were able to pull it off. So just a great racetrack. I don't know why that place isn't packed. Every time there's a sprint car race there, it should be packed, because the racing there is amazing.
Talking about packed grandstands, Terry, and I read some stuff you with Bill had written over the last couple of weeks with Bill Wright, and actually chatted with you at Lincoln Speedway. You know, when we talk about this with Oskaloosa as well, you loaded up the operation from Iowa, drove all the way to Pennsylvania for the Dirt Classic, and why? And we've had this conversation, and echoing really what you wrote last week. These standalone shows, like yours at Oskaloosa, like the Dirt Classic, why do you drive all the way across the country? Why does a guy like you do that to support these one-off big paying shows like that?
Well, I just appreciate, you know, I know the other side of it. It's tough being a promoter. You know, ask Fred Raymer about it now. It's, you know, when you hit, the people only see those times you pack the stands. They don't see those times that it rained out, or what's happening to Williams Grove last weekend. You know, the most important thing about promoting is the one thing you have zero control over, and that's the weather. And Williams Grove was waiting to have their biggest event of the year, and now they're not. So that really hurts as a business person, and promoting is so difficult that I appreciate when these guys go to the extra effort. I think Bill McCroskey and I really raised the bar 21 years ago. Back then, there wasn't a lot going on promoting. People were opening the doors and just counting the money, and the crowds were good generally, and they weren't doing a lot of extra stuff. And I think, you know, things have changed so much with whether it's technology or casinos or, you know, 150 channels on TV, that we got to do more things to promote and get the kids out. And Bill and I's philosophy always was, if you come to our race and not one car is passed all night long, we want you to leave and say, you know, the racing sucked, but we had a good time. And so we did a lot of things for the racers, the drivers, the owners, and especially the fans, to try to make it more exciting, more fun, music, giveaways, and those guys, they work so hard. And not to mention, $20,000 to win is a ton of money. Like I told you that night, I know to you, Steve, that's not very much money, but to a guy like me, that's a lot of money. And you know, they put up big money, but they do a lot of special things. And so that's something that we really want to try to support. I think all racing teams that are similar to mine, that do it for a living or are able to travel, need to really look at that stuff and try to support these events, because they'll go away if they don't. So what an amazing event. It just reminded me of a nationals type race, or the World Finals. Just had an aura about it at the Dirt Classic, and I had so much fun. We were horrible, and I ran really, really bad, but I still had a great time. I was like a fan there, and like I said about our races, I left there, and I was disappointed in myself for driving horrible, but I still had a great time, and so that's the key. And I made a little bit of money. You know, they paid good money, and we were locked in, but the PA fans are pretty amazing, and every time I go there, I just think they're just such hardcore fans. They're really into sprint car racing out there, and so I appreciate that, and I hadn't been out there for a long time. So it's definitely an event that I wanted to go to, and now I'm mad at myself, and I really want to go back and definitely try to do better.
Terry, when you make this schedule and you run all over these one-off shows, like how do you come up with that, and do you plan out early in the season before time, like that you know you're going to hit these shows, or do you kind of, you know, go as they come up?
Well, I make kind of a schedule early in the year, and I put all the different options every night. So say there's 4 different options on a Saturday night, whether it's 360 or 410, I write them all on my calendar. That way we can look and see where we're at, you know, engine-wise or car-wise or weather-wise especially. Mm-hmm. You know, if the weather looks bad at those other 2 events, maybe we head to this other event in Wisconsin or something like that makes more sense. But, People are easy to sit at home and they think we all have a lot of money and a lot of sponsorships. I got names all over my car. My buddy Aaron Berryhill used to make fun of me about it, but I don't turn down anybody. If you want to spend $100, your name will be on my car. It's just going to be on there small somewhere. So, I'm not heavily sponsored and I'm not crying about it. I just, I own my own team and I try to make it work. So I have to look at every specific little detail, and I do my budget for going to Lincoln. And, we had some local help there. Chubby helped us out and some other guys that made it worth our while, not to mention, it was $1,000 to start. So, it made sense to me financially to go there, and I knew I'd sell a few T-shirts because we hadn't been there in a long time. So I got to look at, every aspect of the financial end of it, not just the racing end of it. So I look at everything, and again, weather-wise, if it would have been 50% chance of rain, we wouldn't have went that direction. We'd probably went with the Outlaws at Lernerville and Eldora or whatever. So as a car owner and a guy that runs this team and owns it all, I got to look at all aspects to figure out what's the smartest thing for us to do.
Fascinating stuff. It really is. You mentioned sponsorship. What I see last week, you were hanging out in a Price Chopper parking lot, were you?
Yeah, we had a blast. It's Price Chopper is a big grocery store chain, really based out of Kansas City, but they're moving up in the Des Moines market. They bought some doll stores that have closed down this area, so they came on board with the Front Row Challenge, and then we're just trying to get the word out about them and let people know who they are. And boy, we had a great turnout. I had the 7X car out there and the 24 car turnout out there, and had an amazing turnout. It was a great day. We had a lot of fun. I gave away hats and shirts and flags to the kids and tattoos. So that kind of stuff is a lot of fun for me. And I think the folks had a lot of folks come out who hadn't seen a sprint car before and seen it. Now maybe we can get them down to Knoxville or something local and get them watching some sprint car racing.
Terry, I see that you're going to hop in someone else's car in California in a few weeks, and I was wondering, is it more stressful for you to go drive for someone else because you've been your own owner and you pretty much, your own crew chief for so long, or is it fun for you to go and not have to worry about those things?
It's absolutely not stressful. No, Erin, it's I don't have to pay the tire bill, especially a place like Placerville. It's a fun racetrack, but it's tiny, and for the fans, it's got to be exciting. But for a car owner, and it's easy to get into a little trouble. So Nick McCarl and his family were nice enough to give me an offer to drive that 17 car, and I checked around. It's a great car, ART chassis like I run, and Westmar engines. So I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I'm just looking forward to having fun and no pressure, and working with Nick and seeing how he sets that thing up, and hopefully we can run well. And then I'm going to be running my car at the Trophy Cup. I'll be running the Country Builders 88 the next weekend at the Trophy Cup, so it works good for my schedule to head on out there. So I was excited to get an offer from him to drive the car, and we're looking forward to it. But like I said, it's no tire bill for Terry, so he's happy.
Yeah, I am sure. Absolutely. Terry, always a pleasure. Pleasure to chat with you here on the program, and actually had fun hanging out. It was Terry McCarl, Fred Raymer, and a bunch of the rest of us hanging out after the race at Lincoln.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that.
We had a lot of fun. We really did. Great stuff hanging out there as well. But thanks for the time. Congratulations on the win this past weekend, and best of fortune as the season unfolds.
And you're a real professional, Steve. You stay very focused when you're on the microphone, even when people are kind of messing with you.
That's
so
right.
I was pretty
impressed. That's right.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thanks, Terry. That's Terry McCarl joining us here. Yeah, that's right. I was so focused I forgot that he. I'll tell you what it comes from. Doing the NASCAR stuff backstage when we're doing the interviews.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart is the absolute. Oh my gosh, he's hitting you in places where you shouldn't be hit, and he's grabbing your microphone and doing stuff. And that's right, a little T-Mac was channeling a little bit of that along the way as well. That's right, I forgot about that up at late. I guess I was so focused that I forgot about it, which is probably good. So I love getting a chance and talking with Terry. And as I think I mentioned on the show, when you're sitting around having a frosty beverage with Fred Raymer and Terry McCarl are part of your group, you're at a pretty good spot.
Yeah. Very entertaining spot.
No doubt about it. And it's good to hear. And good to hear T-Mac is headed west to go out to California for a couple of races, including the Trophy Cup, which is coming up in a few weeks. We need to step away. When we come back, speaking of going out west, Shane Golobic, driver out of California, who won in Missouri. Oh, yeah, this makes all the sense in the world. And he'll join us next. Coming up also, we're going to have the Great American Dirt Track. So stay with us. More coming up here in just a moment.
I'm Danny Holkraver, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew wear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink, at the track and on your back.
Time now for a look at a great American dirt track presented by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
I'm Ashley Stremme. The wife is always right. Stan Dudzinski's wife, Irene, wanted a racetrack, and after relentless urging, some would even say nagging, Stan gave in. The Family Berry Patch became a third-mile dirt track in Weedsport, New York. The labor of love, known as Weedsport Speedway, opened their gates in 1955. In the late 50s, the track was shortened to a 38th mile track, with turns 3 and 4 being converted to barns. In 1970, ownership changed, and Glenn Donnelly took over the track. Donnelly invested heavily into the track and created a sanctioning body known as Dirt Motorsports, as well as the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame. In the 80s, the track became home to the local county fair, and a stage was added that some of the biggest acts in rock history have played at. Track champions have included Bob McCready, Billy Decker, Matt Shepard, and Jimmy Phelps. As well as a strong weekly racing program, the track hosts the World of Outlaws, Empire Super Sprints, and the Super Dirt Car Series. Weedsport Speedway, a great American dirt track brought to you by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
Thank you, Ashley. Great stuff talking about Weedsport Speedway. Both of us have really cool memories of Weedsport. You used to run there with the ESS, right?
Yep, a bunch of times. You know, we were talking about before the show started, I have wonderful memories of racing in the upstate New York area, including Weedsport Speedway. It was just a really fun time in my racing career.
It was exactly. Mine, of course, covering the dirt modifieds. I was from south of Binghamton. I would go to Weedsport almost every Sunday to watch the modifieds race. We would stop at Cortland at a chicken barbecue stand. I know there's a shocker, but we would stop there and then go up to Weedsport, and Sunday night racing at Weedsport was always so interesting and so much fun. One of the things I always liked about it is our local Penn Can and 5 Mile Point guys could go up there and be somewhat competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Chuck Akulis, Carl Nagel, Pete Cordes, they would go up there and race, and it was kind of fun for us to see our local boys go somewhere and run. They always did pretty well at Weedsport. I want to mention last week on the show what we go from here with Weedsport is on Facebook at top of the hour here coming up as you're watching us live, but all week long on our Facebook page, we're offering up you to share your memories of Weedsport Speedway, whether it's a modified memory or a great sprint car memory, as the sprint cars have raced around there some, or maybe it's one of the concerts that Ashley talked about. Weedsport's a great place.
Or Ray was just up there inducting Billy Pouch into
that's
the Hall
right,
of Fame.
The Hall
They've
of
got
Fame.
the Hall of Fame there.
The Hall of Fame is great there, too. That's right. So you're right about that. So what we want you to do, okay, we've had this Port Royal Great American Dirt Track thing, and I'll be honest with you, there's some weeks it's like we put it on Facebook and nobody does anything. Last week was not one of those weeks. Last week it was Sun Prairie, or Angel Park in Sun Prairie, and folks, you wore us out with great memories, and that's what we want. We loved it. Great. I think there were some people that had family that promoted, people that raced there, fans. That was fantastic. So now we've got this thing rolling. Sun Prairie got us rolling here. We need you to keep it going on Facebook. You go to facebook.com/WingNation. Weedsport Speedway will be right there on top. Share your Weedsport Speedway memory. And the Great American Dirt Track presented by another Great American Dirt Track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway. Hey, joining us now on the guest line, a gentleman who rolled into Farmington, Missouri, St. Francis County Raceway, and scored the victory driving the 17W car. Shane Golobic is on the line. Hello, Shane. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on.
Well, congratulations. Tell us about your win on Saturday night.
Oh, it was a pretty amazing night. I got the opportunity to drive the 17W, which obviously has a pretty special place in my heart, being pretty close friends with Brian Clausen, and being able to hop behind the wheel of the team that he helped kind of build, and from the ground up, be able to hop in that seat and try to fill those shoes, which nobody will ever fill. But it was a pretty emotional night for sure. And I know putting it in victory lane, I know Brian was watching, and he had to be pretty proud of his guys, and thought I might have done a decent job filling his shoes. So it was a pretty awesome night.
Shane, I know that you've known Brian since you guys were kids. You raced together and close friends with his family. Do you have any cool memories you could share of Brian racing? I know you guys, like I said, started years back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of memories with Brian and Tim and Di and Taylor and the whole Clausen family and Lauren, everybody. The list goes on and on. I don't know how to pick just one, but I remember pretty clearly they had a Winter Nationals quarter midget race in Las Vegas, and we went there every year. And Brian was always part of our team. He was our first house car driver for my family's quarter midget manufacturing company, GT American Race Cars, and so he was driving for us, and we got to be really good buddies, and we hung out a lot. And I remember rolling down the Vegas Strip in the back of a dually with him, and just being on cloud nine, having a lot of fun in Vegas as 5 and 7 years old. And, pretty cool deal. I also remember him flipping a car pretty hard down the back straightaway near the hay bales in the parking lot of the casino that we were racing at, and him hopping right out, and he was going for the win, and it was a pretty cool memory. So there's tons of memories like that, and those are the types of things I really hold on to.
Wow, some great memories. I remember my first trip to Vegas. I was probably mid-40s, and I had my eyes wide open going down the Strip the first time. I can't imagine being 5 and 7 in the back of a dually. That is really, really neat, that's for sure. We're talking to Shane Golobic here. How did this come together with Matt to put this? I know, because Kerry's driven the car some, and how did your deal come together with him for these couple of races that you're going to run with him?
I have driven for Matt in Elk Grove Ford Motorsports on the midget side quite a bit, and he gave me an opportunity at Chili Bowl last year to run for him, and then we ran a handful of midget shows this year, and worked really well with the team, and the same guys who work on the sprint car came out and worked with the midget, and so I got to know them pretty well, Shane and Adam and Jim Bob, and it was pretty cool to work with them all year, and then get the opportunity to hop in Farmington was pretty awesome. So that's all a testament to Matt, and Matt giving me the opportunity to do it and believing in me, and I'm really glad I was able to put it in victory lane for him as well.
Shane, I watched the video of the race, and it was an incredible run. I don't know if you watched it, Steve, but he had a great race with Ian Madsen and Joey Montgomery, and I forget who else was up there. But talk about the actual race itself. I think it ended up coming down to a last lap pass. That must have been pretty cool for you.
Yeah, it was cool. We started 5th, and I kind of worked the bottom for a while. It actually, that racetrack, it almost felt like I was back in California. It was a little bit of a bull ring, and felt almost like I was back at home in Placerville. It's a little bit longer straightaways. And, I worked the bottom at the beginning and got to the lead, and started working the top a little bit in 3 and 4, and stuck on the bottom. And then Parker Price Miller did an amazing job all weekend, really. He was the guy to beat both nights, and he got by me about halfway through the race, maybe a little bit later than halfway, and really showed me the way around the top in 1 and 2, and he was running really, really hard, and I didn't really know you could run quite that hard up there. I didn't think there was enough up there to hold the car, so I kind of was following him, watching what he was doing, and just kind of biding my time and running right behind him there, and saw the white flag and said, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to follow him through the top in 1 and 2, so went back to the bottom where I was pretty strong at the beginning of the race, and was able to really stick it and get a good drive off the bottom, and switch back to the top in 3 and 4, and able to hold them off in the last corner. So it was a pretty cool ending to the race, I guess.
Nice. Nicely done, that's for sure. Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. That was I saw the end of it. That was pretty good stuff. Talking to Shane Golobic on the Hercules Star Hotline. Shane, going forward now, where's your next race? Where you racing the balance of this year?
Well, we're still pretty busy out here in California. Yeah. We still have some pretty good weather out here where, like the guys in Pennsylvania had a rough weekend this week with rain and everything. But luckily, we should have some good weather here coming up. This weekend we go 2 nights with the King of the West Series 410s. First night and Friday night is Watsonville, which is kind of our home track with the Keith Day Trucking 22 team that I drive for out here. And then we head on to Tulare on Saturday, and then we'll be back at Placerville just like Terry will be next week for that big 2-day Placerville Posse race, and then obviously Trophy Cup's coming up after that. So we're still pretty busy.
Shane, one of our frustrations here at Wing Nation, I'll just be totally honest with you, one of our frustrations is we just never make it out to the West Coast. I mean, I know Erin's been out there. She's won at Tulare. But as far as the rest of us, we never make it out to the West Coast. And we live in this world where, we know Knoxville's Knoxville. We know the Kings Royal. We know the National Open is. But we hear so much talk about the Trophy Cup. What makes that such a special race? Why do us East Coast folks need to get on a plane and get out there and go see it? Why is that such a special event?
Well, that event's special for a huge number of reasons. That racetrack is, I think it's my favorite out here alongside Placerville Speedway. It gets big and wide, and it gets slick up to the fence. And if you're fast, you got to put the car on the line a little bit. And you need to, be not afraid to put 2 wheels up on the fence at times and roll back down the hill and try and slide somebody in the next corner. And the racetrack is a huge part of why everybody comes. It just puts on a great show for the fans, 2 lanes of racing. And then the Trophy Cup format itself is pretty crazy too. It's, kind of old school, full invert. You could put together a perfect weekend, and come Saturday for the big money, you're starting dead last. It's a full invert. You got to work your butt off every time you hit the racetrack, and the better you are, the harder you have to work. So that's kind of cool for the fans, and I think it puts on an awesome show. And then all the money that's raised for the Make-A-Wish Foundation is another part that makes it pretty awesome. It's it makes it even more about it's more than just racing. We're doing it for a cause and raising a lot of money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is a pretty awesome deal.
Yeah, it's a bucket list race, and it just needs to. I just need to get Craig around this and make it happen. It's Craig's fault.
We've got to do some shows out
there.
Yeah,
right? We'll do some shows out there and everything like this. Our producer's fault.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
Shane, I'm telling you, it's so exciting to see what's happening with you. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the win at Farmington. Thanks for the time. Best of fortune as you continue on with the busy California schedule over the next few weeks. We'll be following along, and who knows, maybe we'll get a chance to chat you after another big win here in just a bit.
Sounds good. Hope so. Thanks for having me on.
That is Shane Golobic joining us. I love that quote. The better you are, the harder you have to work.
Yeah.
Now, that's inverse from a lot of racing. I mean, seriously, the better you are, because you know how it is. There are nights when the car is so good, you're out there just cruising.
Some of the nights you win, you feel like you didn't even have to work.
Right, exactly. But the problem with that full invert, if you're really, really good, you're going to have to really bust your tail.
Yeah.
Where there's
cruising.
Where a lot of nights you're back there slugging it out with somebody for 12th spot, and you're working your tongue's hanging out when you're done because you weren't necessarily that good. I love that quote. The better you are, the harder you have to work. That's the signs of a good race right there. Make them, I won everything this week. Guess what? I start last.
Yeah, started last and every time I was on the track.
Wow, man, that's great stuff. Trophy Cup, got to be a bucket list. We need to figure that out. Next year, 2017, we are hitting something in California.
All right.
Something in California.
Mark the calendar.
Mark the calendar, that's right. Because the racing out there is spectacular.
Yes, it is.
I watched the videos of this stuff, the King of the West series, what they're doing is unreal what they're doing.
Yeah, the tracks are, from my experience, are fun. They're tight little bull rings. They're heavy. There's you very rarely get super dry slick. It's always like elbows up type of racing.
I went up to Stockton one night 2-3 years ago on Smoke Air out of Auto Club Speedway.
Man, you are fancy.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm living right here. Yeah. Ironically, I think that's the last time I've been on Smoke Air, which is about 3 years or 4 years in between. But I went to Stockton, and what a great place that is. But you're right, the tracks out there are just phenomenal. So just great stuff. And great to talk to Shane. And I think that's the other thing with California, the talent out there. Well, face it, here's the reality of this thing. I mean, look, we're Rico Abreu.
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson,
Brad
exactly.
Sweet.
Brad Sweet,
Jason
exactly. Even Paul McMahon, it goes back a ways. Jeff Gordon came from that. I mean,
Brian Clausen,
exactly. So you look at the talent, the racetracks, and everything. We need to get off our East Coast butts. That's what needs to happen. So it's fantastic and great talking to Shane. What a great young racer. Let's step away. When we come back, we're going to talk a little historical perspective. Patrick Sullivan, he writes regularly for Sprint Car and Midget magazine. We'll talk to him next.
I'm Kerry Madsen, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle has a bumpy ride, it might be time for new shocks or struts. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 4 Monroe shocks and struts for the price of 3 after mail-in rebate. Improve your vehicle's steering, stopping, and stability with Monroe shocks and struts at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Helping racing families heal. That is the driving mission behind the Steve King Foundation. Founded after the tragic passing of Steve King at the Knoxville Nationals in 2006, the Steve King Foundation has donated $300,000 to more than 150 individuals and families across 26 states, Australia, and Canada. Now in its 10th year, the foundation has launched Donate 88, an effort to raise $88,888 to continue the work of the Steve King Foundation to families in need. To make a donation, simply text the word Donate 88 to 620-450-4604. And for more information and other ways to donate to the Steve King Foundation, visit them online at www.stevekingfoundation.org.
This is Tony Stewart. You're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Thank you, Tony. Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation. We're going back to the Hercules Tire Hotline. Now, a little bit earlier on the show, I think you mentioned, I said I was part of a conversation with Tony Stewart and Terry McCarl, and you were like, boy, wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall on that one? Well, I have a hunch that where our next guest is a pretty interesting conversation as well. He is at lunch at a dinner at a restaurant with Dave Argerbright and Levi Jones. Joining us now from Sprint Car and Midget Racing, Patrick Sullivan is on the line. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
Doing great, and we are going to solve all the problems of sprint car racing in about an hour and 15 minutes. How do you like that?
Man, that's good news. We expect a full report on our desk tomorrow morning then.
Yeah, just put it on speakerphone and let us listen in.
I moved away from those guys.
Oh, see that? There we go. Hey, how are you? How's things going?
They're going very well. Obviously, we're beginning to wind down things really in the Midwest. It's a beautiful day here today. So, yeah, things are going great. USAC season going to conclude here in the Midwest portion here in just about a week or so, but it's just going great.
Well, you mentioned solving all the world's sprint car problems of the world. So what are your thoughts on the current state of sprint car racing?
That's a really hard thing to say. You know, when you live in Indiana, and in some sense, weekly racing is still very strong, and I hear a lot of discussion about the car counts, particularly in the 410s in some part of the country. I think relatively been strong here in Indiana. No real concerns there. We're always worried about racetracks. It just seems like every day we see a story about one closing. But on the other hand, I went to the East Coast with USAC this year, and Port Royal did a whole lot of work on their racetrack. I think we're always a little bit worried about getting younger fans interested in the sport. I think that's a persistent concern. Costs are always a concern, but the costs have been a concern for the day we began racing. So, here I think sprint car racing is pretty darn vibrant.
You mentioned that you're based there in Indiana. Somewhere along the way, I've had conversations or some folks with the All-Star Circuit of Champions, and we know Indiana is non-wing sprint car racing, USAC style racing for sure. But it seems like Tony's trying to do a little bit of a push to get some winged sprint car racing. Have you been to any of those? And what's kind of the reaction over there in India as more wings are showing up over there a little bit?
Oh, I think we like it. And interestingly enough, particularly in the Bird and Bridget days, the All-Stars were very much a staple in Indiana. In fact, Bloomington Speedway, I've announced for almost a quarter of a century, we always ended the year essentially with a high-paying All-Star show. I worked at Kokomo for years. The All-Stars were a staple there. I think there would be a lot of desire to see them return. And it's always interesting to me because a lot of our traditional sprint car guys will put a wing on, and I think that really helps. I think sometimes guys will also the good thing
Patrick, we're going to dial you right back. We've somehow lost the signal, so if you can hear us, just hang out. Craig's going to try to dial you right back up, and we'll see if we can reestablish that. Just he went from Patrick Sullivan to Charlie Brown's teacher there on us, and so we'll try to dial him back up and see. And it is interesting, and Tony being an Indiana native, his desire is to see more, and it's obviously his tour, the All-Star Circuit of Champions, to get more races there. Maybe not go so far flung in other directions, but to get over there in Indiana and a lot of the Western Ohio. It's not a bad drive from Western Ohio.
Add a lot of travel for them.
So it's not that bad. So it will be we'll be interested to see as they continue to do. They had that big one at Kokomo during the Brickyard weekend.
Yep.
And that went over everything I heard was really, really well on that. As a matter of fact, that was a Dirt Classic qualifier. And so, so they did that, and it was just, so hopefully they are able to continue to grow. I mean, and that's one of the things that's always so fascinating to me is, and we get the questions. Why don't you cover USAC? Why don't you do non-wing racing? Why is it Wing Nation? Why is it not sprint car racing? And unfortunately, where we're at, we don't have time to cover what we cover.
There's a lot of wing stuff in itself.
And I was talking to a young man who does a lot of social media and some podcasting and PR that loves, and the name escaping me right now, but he does some stuff with USAC, and I'm like, jump in, let's go, put a show together, like that, because there's so much great racing out there in Indiana, and like I said, we're sitting here,
nation.
Yeah, we're sitting here, we can't cover all the wing stuff, let alone anything else. So Patrick joins us now from the restaurant again, Patrick, we lost you halfway through your answer, but wing cars in Indiana.
Oh, I think that, they're very much welcome. It gives our fans now something different to see than they normally do. I think that's good. I don't know what part you lost, but the All-Stars have been a staple for many years, or were a staple for many years. We always entered at Bloomington with them. We know what Tony's done. Obviously, Tony is beloved in this part of the country. I think it would be great if we saw them come back on a regular basis throughout the area. And the one thing I did say was a lot of the traditional guys, they put the wing on. They get comfortable going a little bit faster than they normally do. And even with a traditional sprint car, the more you can keep it straight, the better. I think that helps them. So I think the diversity would be fantastic. In fact, Dave Argabut and Levi Jones and I were teasing, or I and Dave were teasing Levi about the wing, the situation with USAC, and apparently Donnie Schatz suggested to him that it might be time for USAC to put the wings on a little bit again. So we'll tease him a little bit about that.
Patrick, speaking about drivers that race wing and non-wing, you wrote a wonderful piece in this month's Sprint Car Midget magazine about Brian Clausen. For those people that haven't gotten the chance to read your column yet, can you tell us some of your memories of Brian and what he meant to you?
Oh, well, I can't begin to tell you what a profound loss this is. I mean, I've announced races for nearly 30 years, and this one has stuck with me the longest. It's been a little bit more difficult to swallow than most, and I'm a racer, and I learned to let that stuff roll off my back. But the thing about Brian is that he just wasn't a nice guy. He was a tremendous guy. I mean, I don't know a soul that didn't like Brian. He was so humble, and he was so good so early. He was so versatile. And we all knew the family. He was part of us, and he was so good. I mean, he was for a USAC perspective. I mean, he was a Tracy Hines, Tony Stewart, J.J. Yaley, Levi Jones. He was that caliber. And I had written a column that was actually in press before the incident at Belleville, and I said that he has clearly now crossed the line into greatness. That there is no more discussion. He's one of the all-time greats. He increased his fan base by the Circle Insanity tour, by putting the wing on, which I thought was a good move on his part. I worked with his sister at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a gaping hole. I thought what Levi Jones said to me when I talked with him afterwards, he said, "We lost Superman." And that's coming from a guy that won 7 titles. I mean, this guy, he's going to be in many halls of fame, and it's just tremendous, a loss. But you know what? We're racing people, and the family has picked up, and they've moved on. They've been a big help to us. and we're all going to move on as well.
Absolutely well said and well-written piece. And you can always catch Patrick and all of his cohorts at Sprint Car and Midget magazine. What a great that arrives in the mailbox, and you can just cancel the next hour for me. As
good.
Yeah, it's the magazine. You guys just do a wonderful job with it. Patrick, we appreciate your time joining us today. Get back to solving all the Sprint Car problems, and if you guys land on anything, let us know what the resolution is.
I will, and I want to say this again. I really appreciate what you guys do for racing in general and sprint car racing and bring it to a wider audience. We're awfully proud of the discipline. Congratulations, by the way, on a tremendous Knoxville Nationals. I want to say that as well. But thank you very much, guys.
You got it. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. And, yeah, when your marquee event is spectacular, it's good for everyone. Traditional sprint carless and Indy. Hey, the Knoxville Nationals was good for NASCAR, for gosh sake, because good racing is good racing, and that helps everything. So that's fantastic. And, boy, that would be interesting. Dave Argerbright, Levi Jones, and Patrick Sullivan. So, hey, gives us a chance talking from the historical perspective to talk about the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Did you see the beams are going up on the storage building?
I get weekly updates.
Yes. Whoa, you got
I'm the fancy one now.
You're the fancy one with the weekly updates. Okay. They are in the Expand the Dream program. Building a storage facility is really what the goal is because of all the great artifacts they have. And we always talk about birthdays. So Mike Nazarick and Dick Aikens, Sunday. Today, Sarah Fisher. Tomorrow, J.J. Yaley. Thursday, Lance Deweese. Buzz Barton, Emmett Buzz Barton, Ken Coles on Friday. Tragically, we lost Donnie Ray Crawford a couple years ago, but Donnie Ray Crawford's birthday would have been Saturday. Eddie Rickenbacker, Craig Kinzer, Gary Stanton, Everett Saylor. But yesterday birthday, Chuck Hulse. Okay, Chuck was born in 1927 in La Palma, California. And he was known as the Pepsi Kid. You got to be cool when you're the Pepsi Kid. Because that's right, that was his soft drink of choice. Started racing in Southern California after getting out of the military in 1949, raced jalopies and midget cars in the 50s. He was one of the top CRA drivers. He drove a car at one point called the Tamale Special.
That's a very famous car.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep, indeed. So the Tamale, maybe you need to get Evernham to try to find that car for one of his.
I think it is in a museum. I'm not sure which
one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So there we go. So the Tamale Special. He actually worked also for the Firestone.
I think I know who has it.
You think you know?
Yeah,
the
it might
Tamale
not be
Special.
for sale.
There we go. The Tamale Special. He worked for Firestone for a number of years. In the 60s, he made it over to Indy, finished 8th in 1963. This always amazes me because and obviously we're still mourning Brian Clausen, but we're mourning a part of it because it happens rarely now in the sport that we're doing this. Okay, and the good news is for Chuck, it wasn't him, but 1969 he had a minor practice crash at Indianapolis, but he felt the car was too difficult to handle and unsafe. He retired right there on the spot, and he'd had enough, and he'd wrecked a few cars along the way. Bob Hurt got in the car, crashed, and was paralyzed. So, I mean, it's just the nature of the sport then was just absolutely amazing. The good news we're talking about Chuck is that very active in the real estate world and still in historic racing. So Monday, birthday of Chuck Hulse, his story and many more contained in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa. Stay with us. More in just a moment.
Hi, this is Sam Haferteep. You're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display. A movie theater featuring sprint car racing films. And a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Hi, I'm Casey Kane. Now back to Wing Nation.
We are having a great time. Thank you so much for joining us. Time to talk about our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week. It's a guy that's been racing up in central Pennsylvania for a number of years, Tim Wagaman III. And over the course of time, Tim's had a lot of pink on his race car. Of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it just seems like this disease, we're just running into it everywhere, and it just is god-awful. But one of the things that Tim has done over the course of time is not only breast cancer awareness, having pink on the car, but also over the course of time, and I thought this was neat reading back, and this was a couple years ago, but it kind of ties in with the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation. He did a teddy bear toss at Lincoln Speedway, and they were raising awareness and money for pediatric cancer, which is what focuses. So our focus is with Jeff Gordon's Children's Foundation. So our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week is Tim Wagaman III, great racer up in central Pennsylvania. And again, the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation, pediatric cancer is where they have all kinds of information. I hope nobody listening to this show ever has to go to that site to find out information. Sadly, someone from this show is in the middle of or will someday need to kind of sort out what's going on as their world has been rocked, and it's great to know that folks like the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation are there to provide some form of comfort as we deal with just this absolute plague on our society right now. So JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org is where you can find that information. And again, God forbid, I hope someday no one ever has to go to that site. But unfortunately, that's not the nature of where we live right now. Looking at the upcoming schedule, the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprints, part of Super Dirt Week at Oswego. That is weird.
Yeah.
Looking at pictures already this week, it's fascinating. It's going to be a fun week up there. But the Craftsman Sprint cars are at Fulton Speedway, and that's going to be big fun. Hey, tonight, if you're listening on Tuesday, the Empire Super Sprints, Utica, Rome, kicking off Super Dirt Week at Utica, Rome. So that is going to be great. Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions, Saturday night at Eldora Speedway. MOA Sprints, Friday and Saturday at Tri-City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois. Lucas Oil has regional, Lucas Oil ASCS tours, regional racing in Arizona and Texas. They kick off back in Devil's Bowl next week with the national tour. California, the King of the West Series, Friday night Ocean Speedway, Saturday night Tulare at the Thunder Bowl at Tulare, California. Weekly racing, Friday night Williams Grove. Now, they always do a Run What You Brung at the end of the year. It's going to be interesting. Is this Run What You Brung? It's a Run What You Brung race, but is it a test and tune for the World of Outlaws?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who shows up for the Run What You Brung Friday night at Williams Grove. And the longest season in all of American motorsports comes to an end Saturday night. The fabulous Lincoln Speedway season finale, and we do need to mention also they're racing this week with a heavy heart. Condolences to the family of Bob Leiby, and the family includes Lincoln Speedway. Bob, one of the co-owners of the racetrack, and died earlier this week. So our thoughts, prayers, and condolences with our friends up at Lincoln as they remember one of the co-owners of the track, Bob Leiby, and they race their season finale this week. MRN Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. Sam Haferteep Jr. Great chatting with him. So can't wait to watch that on Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m. And our Wing Nation weekend, presented by Hepner Racing Products. Dale Blaney going to join us previewing Eldora.
Oh,
Pretty good guy to preview Eldora.
Yeah.
If you're going to have someone preview Eldora, why not?
Yeah, and that's a tight points battle.
Oh,
isn't
my
it
gosh,
now?
between him and Kemenaugh and Sheldon.
Yeah.
They are going at it in that All-Star circuit. So really great stuff there. Hey, want to mention also Facebook.com/WingNation. Folks, we're having a whole lot of fun over there, whether it is our Great American Dirt Track presented by Port Royal Speedway or surveys or what you thought of different things. We are really putting a lot of news and notes over there as well. So make that a normal stop for you every day as you surf the World Wide Web to go to Facebook.com/WingNation, and we get interactive over there and have a whole lot of fun. So it's really a neat spot. And our Twitter account at Wing Nation. And remember to get those Tweet Your Seats in. We feature those on our MAV TV show every week. Oh, there's some good ones. There really is. Thank you to T-Mac for joining us on the program today. Shane Golobic for joining us as well. And always a pleasure to talk with Patrick Sullivan. But as we say each and every time, and we sincerely mean it, more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires.
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.